here with my buddy Chris. In the last video I picked up with my wife this Enticer. This is a 340 Enticer, and then I picked up also a 79 Jag 340. I already have that running. And then this is a 80 Enticer, Yamaha Enticer 340. So this is a twin. Bone stock, really rough as you can tell, but I'm really excited. I've wanted one of these for a while. They're just really good beater, junky, old sleds that are really, really reliable. So plans are on this one, either lake cross or another snowcross, vintage snowcross sled in the slow leaf kind of class, because this is a leaf spring sled. Yeah, so plan today, while it's super hot out, is work on a snowmobile, because why not? So yeah, we're gonna get it running. I did hear it pop off. It has good compression in both holes, and I'm suspecting the carb is gonna be pretty bad. So we'll see once we dig into there what that looks like. I already ran fuel lines. They were literally non-existent, basically. They were so old and leaking everywhere. It's just like while it was running, just leaking gas everywhere. So got an inline filter. Yeah, there's not much to this. So we're gonna pull the carb and dig into it.
So what is it that makes these reliable?
One, they're reliable because they're Yamaha. And two, they're fan cooled and they're just dumb simple. Yamaha's oil injection system is like next to bulletproof. It's right off the crank here, off the primary. So it basically calls for oil with throttle. Because these are two strokes, obviously, so they run on oil. So that's a big part of why they're really reliable, and they're just really simple. And these 80s, 70s sleds were just very bulletproof and so simple in comparison to new stuff with injection and like injectors. You just have to know old school stuff and how to clean carbs, honestly. Clean carbs and just check it over, make sure crank seals are good. But I mean, it's really old, so there's a lot that can go wrong. But these are really reliable sleds.
So they don't make them like they used to?
No, I don't think so. I mean, this doesn't make any power. It's faster than the Jag, I would say, but it's still a very slow sled by today's standards, absolutely. But they're really fun. They're so light. I mean, you could just roll this over. You could just beat on it endlessly, and it would keep running. So yeah, we're gonna get it running, and I'll show you that it can sit for many years and reliably run again. So I have no doubt in my mind at all that this will run and continue running well for many years to come. So yeah, let's rip into the carb. Yeah. So this is a throttle cable. And As you can see, it's seen better days. They weren't very tight. I've mentioned it in other videos, but this is a Japanese industrial standard, I think, JIS specific screwdriver. So if you see that little dot, that means that this is a JIS screw. And you should run the corresponding bit so you don't strip out these original screw Phillips heads like that. One is starting to, but yeah, so how bad do you think it's gonna look in here? Oh, it's not horrible. So usually you'll get a bunch of buildup in the bottom of the bowl. A lot of that is from if people run ethanol fuel, because these small engines and sitting don't like ethanol. So inside of a carburetor, you got your pilot jet, which is the idle circuit, and like quarter throttle is this little pilot, and then this is your main jet, this big one in the middle. So we'll rip all this apart and investigate. And then you have your needle, and this is your float. So basically how a carb works is the bowl fills up with fuel, the float closes off the fuel once the bowl is full, and then as it uses the fuel in the bowl, then it just keeps refilling based on the needle under this float here. So yeah, it's not as bad as I was thinking it would be, but I'm suspecting our pilot jet is going to be plugged, which would make it not start. Where are you? Tony, get out of here. Yeah. So here's your main jet. And it's clear. Maybe you can see through it.
That's a good sign, right?
Yep. And I'm trying to see the size. These are all stamped with the size. It's right here. Looks to be, I can't tell, 220 maybe?
What is 220?
That's the size of the jet. So the bigger the jet, the bigger the opening, and then that's basically your AFR.
Okay.
If you're in terms of like, you know, modern engines. So it will run richer with a bigger jet. And this is like 3/4 to full throttle is the main jet. So if these are clogged, just like if an injector is clogged and you beat on it, you're probably going to blow it up. So that's really carbureted snowmobiles. You have to go through carbs. I like to on all my sleds like once a year in the fall, typically. especially the pilot, because the pilot will have a much smaller orifice and they clog very easily. So if there's any residue or even like sand, grit at all in your fuel and in your carb in the bowl, it will get sucked into most likely the pilot first, clog that. It won't. So there's your little tiny pilot jet.
Even smaller.
Yeah, and these all need to be clear too, on this little tube. That is clear, so that's good. And then I like to put all the small parts in the bowl so you don't lose them. Now I'm gonna pull this float off. You can see someone punched it, so someone's been in here, which is a good sign. The float pin, there's already a couple little dimples in it from a punch, so someone was cleaning this, which is good. There's our float pin, then here's your float. So I'm shaking it because if the float is bad, fuel can actually make its way in here and then it won't have the flotation properties that it needs anymore. And it sounds fine. And here's our needle. So this basically shuts off the fuel based on the position of the float. And then in there is the seat, it's called. And stuff can get packed in the seat as well. And then this won't shut off fuel and you'll probably leak fuel out of the carb. It'll overfill the bowl when this needle doesn't make a solid contact with that seat. And then you can probably leave that in, honestly. And that's pretty much your whole carb. This is your air screw, which is also very important. And this is basically off the pilot circuit. So this basically richens or leans the mixture on the pilot on idle and low throttle. So if your sled's boggy, it can be your air screw, and it looks okay. So we'll throw all this in the ultrasonic cleaner, let it cook for a while. That will clean the body of the carb too. And you can see this is an original carb for this sled. It's a Mikuni, Japanese brand, obviously. Don't put Chinese junk carbs on your snowmobiles or anything because it will not run right. Like regardless of what it is. And another problem with Chinese carbs is they're like dirt cheap, obviously, on Amazon or eBay or wherever you get them. But a lot of Chinese carbs I've seen, the jets aren't even labeled. So you're just like, I hope that's the right size, which is insane. But, and then your motorcycle or your quad or sled like blows up or doesn't ever run right because it doesn't have the original carb on it. So yeah, let's get this in the ultrasonic. I'm gonna take this off, the emulsion tube it's called, over the the main. So I'm gonna get an adjustable wrench here quick. Make sure you get the biggest one possible. And in there's our tube. So Bob didn't like that. This will probably, see, it's floating, so it's good. It's not super hot yet, but we'll let it do its thing. Just, I want to get a lot of the debris that's under the engine from it just sitting. There's squirrel evidence. There's all sorts of stuff down here. I mean, just like, it's just packed. I can literally just like grab a handful of debris and dirt, and it's just like caked everywhere. Like, so lots of grass and leaves and who knows. So yeah, I just don't want it to burn down once we get it running. Hopefully get it running. I think it'll run. So gonna get the pressure washer going. Look at how low it is. So the 250s are really small sleds. I mean, this is a really small sled, so even smaller than this. Not too much. There's a cool hot grip sticker, so I'm thinking, I don't know, I could do something with the name with that. I don't know. Yeah, maybe. Could be the POS. Yeah. The POS Enticer. But, I mean, a lot of them that sit honestly look like this or worse. The hoods are always faded. I mean, this thing's like really old, so gotta give it some credit, and it's gonna run. I've already heard it run, so, and I'll have fun with it, so that's really the most important part about it. This is the kind of sled that you can just like run around in the grass in the summer when it's 90 degrees outside, burn the slides off of it. Just really doesn't matter. Yeah, you can just just beat on it and have fun with it. That's another thing with air cooled is if it's jetted correctly, it's not going to overheat. Whereas a liquid cooled sled, you have basically radiators in the skid that the snow melts and cools the engine off. And that's how liquid cooled sleds are cooled. So you don't really want to run in no snow for very long with a liquid cooled sled because it will probably overheat. It will definitely overheat eventually, and you don't want that, obviously. Wow. Probably have to pull this motor to get all the grease. There's so much grease underneath this thing. Yeah. But it's very easy to pull these engines. Oh, sorry. We're gonna get our spark plug too rusty, and then we can't use it. There.
That's how you're supposed to clean it.
Yeah, yeah. And then you just put it in there, and the water will just burn off, so. feel. So yeah, it's pretty reasonable, especially in comparison to the rest of it.